Hello everybody, I'm Zeal and welcome to my channel. I thought I would kick this first video off with a Zelda theory I came up with. This is just a fun little theory I've had in my head for a while and thought I would share it. Quick disclaimer though, I still don't know all the ins and outs of the Zelda timeline because, let's face it, it can be quite confusing. And I would say I'm still fairly new to the series, so if I get something wrong, feel free to let me know in the comments. But with that being said, let's get into it. So most people agree that Breath of the Wild takes place at the end of the timelines, whether that be a merging of the timelines, or Breath of the Wild is an eventuality that happens at the end of all three timelines. But I don't think this is the case. Kind of. You see, I think Breath of the Wild exists completely outside of the timelines. Hold up, don't click off just yet. Let me explain how I came to this conclusion. In Zelda's ceremony speech from Memory 1, she says,
"Whether skyward bound, adrift in time, or steeped in the glowing embers of twilight."
The phrases, whether skyward bound and adrift in time, is obviously referring to Skyward Sword and Ocarina of Time, which is before the timeline split. She then says, or steeped in the glowing embers of twilight. This references the events in Twilight Princess, which falls under the child's timeline. So great, we've established that it's the child timeline, case closed, theory over. Well, no. If you have played Breath of the Wild before, then you know it makes references to games from all three timelines. For example, in the game you can get rock salt, and the tag for it says, crystallized salt from the ancient sea, commonly used to season meals, cannot be eaten in this form. The ancient sea is a reference to the sea in Wind Waker, which is a game that falls into the adult timeline. Heck, even several bridges around Hyrule are referencing bosses from The Legend of Zelda, as well as the Adventures of Link, which are both in the Fallen Hero timeline, some examples being Gleeok Bridge and Karak Bridge. So far, this can still be explained away with the timelines merging as well as the eventuality theory. Let's start with the timeline merging theory. A lot of people agree, me included, that once you split a timeline, you can never merge the two again, because they now effectively have two different histories. So for me, that knocks this theory out. Now let's look at the eventuality theory. The thing that breaks this theory for me is that the Rito and the Zora both exist within Breath of the Wild. For those of you that don't know, the Rito has only ever been present in the adult timeline after they evolved from the Zora to survive the Great Flood, which is weird because you think fish people would be okay with Flood, but I digress. Yes, you could say the Rito in Breath of the Wild were a subgroup of Zora that evolved into the Rito today, but the big question is, why would they need to evolve in the first place in the two timelines when there was no flood? Well, they wouldn't. Even if it was just a small splinter group that evolved into the Rito, I still think this is highly unlikely. So for me, that knocks the eventuality theory out. My theory is that Breath of the Wild is in a separate universe that runs parallel to the other timelines, and in this universe, Demise's curse doesn't exist. Well, not yet. Now that's a bold and crazy theory, you may be saying, but let me present my reasoning. In Breath of the Wild, you have the three dragons named Dinral, Naydra, and Farash, who I believe are the three goddesses of Hyrule, Din, Nehru, and Farore. Here's where the speculation starts. They see what happened to the timeline and how badly the curse has fractured it, so they decide to create a new timeline. Without Demise's curse to cause true hero to reincarnate, they populate the world with legends and relics of old as to keep hope alive. A test to see if peace could ever truly be obtained. The three goddesses then made the prophecy of the resurrection of Calamity Ganon that we see at the beginning of Breath of the Wild. With the help of her royal knight, the princess, who is the embodiment of Hylia, because, once again, there is no curse, gives up her immortality to lock Demise, or Ganondorf, as is his true form in this world, away with a powerful magical spell. What little power Hylia has left passes down to her female descendants, the queens and princesses of Hyrule. And that's the events that take place 10,000 years before Breath of the Wild, effectively acting like this world's Skyward Sword. But Zeal, in an interview with IAG Al-Numa, he said Breath of the Wild takes place after Ocarina of Time.
Does Breath of the Wild take place before or after Ocarina of Time?
Well, yes, in a way it does. If you notice, when the dragons enter and exit Hyrule, they do so through a portal. And it's my belief that each dragon or goddess is going to each one of the timelines to bring back relics and legends. Din, goddess of power, goes to the Fallen Hero timeline because in that timeline, Ganon, who is the holder of the Triforce of Power, reigns supreme. Nehru, goddess of wisdom, goes to the adult timeline where Ganon is sealed and the Triforce of Courage is broken, leaving Zelda, who holds the Triforce of Wisdom. Farore, goddess of courage, then goes to the child timeline where the hero Link, who holds the Triforce of Courage, was able to protect Hyrule from the dangers of Ganon. These relics and legends still come after the split in Ocarina of Time, so it's still running with the same stories. But let's get on to Demise's curse. As said before, my thought is that Demise, or his true form in this universe, Ganondorf, was sealed away 10,000 years ago before he was able to enact his curse. This is why Memory 12, the Master Sword, doesn't light up for Link, because he is not as of then a true hero. It's only after he wakes up from the Shrine of Resurrection and proves himself worthy that the sword finally glows for him. There is one last piece of this puzzle that ties it all together, and it's been staring us in the face this entire time. It's that in Breath of the Wild, Link is right-handed. No, really. In every other game, he is left-handed, except, surprise surprise, Skyward Sword, where he is yet again right-handed. With this, we can deduce that for some reason, Demise's curse always causes the hero to become left-hand dominant. Since he is right-handed in Breath of the Wild, we can come to the conclusion that the curse has yet to happen. Quick note, Link is right-handed in the Wii version of Twilight Princess because the majority of people are right-handed. But since in the original GameCube version he is left-handed, we are using that as canon. But now with the sequel of Breath of the Wild on the horizon, I'm sure we will see Demise's curse return, creating another endless cycle for the new timeline. Thank you all so much for watching and sitting through my crazy rambling. This was my first time writing a script for an episode, so I apologize if any of it felt clunky or incoherent. That's something I'll be working on fixing as I make more videos. I had a lot of fun coming up with this theory, and I would love to hear your thoughts down below. I have many other theory ideas I would love to explore in future videos. I also do Let's Plays on my other channel, FelineSign28665. Right now I'm currently playing through Link's Awakening for the first time. If that's something that interests you, then I'll have a link in the description. Be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell if you want to see more of my content. I'll see you all in the next one.